So, welcome to Ready for the Weekend episode 6 here at the Plague Sport YouTube channel, the show where myself and Kev run through 5 of our must-see sporting events for the weekend. Coming on this week's show, we have the final weekend of the European football calendar, as well as action in the GAA and some action from MLS. We hope you enjoy. Alright, so we are kicking things off this weekend with the Champions League final as Man City take on Chelsea. All English tie, not the most exciting, but hey, it's what we're dealt with, so we had to lead with it. City have beaten Mönchengladbach, Dortmund and PSG to reach the final. They're looking for a treble this year, adding to their Premier League and League Cup trophies. Big bonus for them with Gundogan getting cleared for the game. Also, big send-off possibly if he plays anyway after getting a send-off last weekend. It'll be Aguero's last game for Man City, so chance to go out on a massive high, possibly winning them their first ever Champions League. Chelsea, on the other hand, have gone past Atletico Porto and Real Madrid. This is their second final in 3 weeks, having lost to Leicester in the FA Cup final, so they're looking to come away with some kind of silverware. They haven't reached the final since 2012 when they beat Bayern on penalties to win their only Champions League. So with the All-English tie, these are two teams that are super familiar with each other. Chelsea have beaten City twice this year, a 2-1 win in the league and knocking them out in the FA Cup semi-final, whereas then City have come out on top on one occasion, winning 3-1 in their first meeting this season. Going out on a limb here, I do think this is going to be Man City's year. 2 trophies in the bag already, and it just sort of feels like time for them to win the Champions League. So I'm going to take City here, and I'm going to go with a 2-1 win for Man City, and I think they're going to end up as treble winners.
This weekend we have Chelsea versus Manchester City in the Champions League final. Chelsea, since their last time in Champions League final, have been very, very progressive in their youngsters coming up. A lot more different team from roughly 9 years ago. Doing very, very well this season. They were very, very unlucky against Leicester City in the FA Cup final, and this is their chance to actually redeem themselves. Despite even getting to the top 4 place, I still think there's a lot to play for, as I wouldn't be sure that they'll actually go into the Champions League final for a long time. I think this is their only chance and their one shot. Manchester City has been very unlucky last couple of seasons in the Champions League stages. They're a very, very decent team, and they will probably actually pull off typical City. I go to treble in sight, and I still think they can go for it. Despite mass support going for Chelsea side, I think City might pull away with a 1-0 win. But again, we'll see how that goes.
Okay, so game number 2 here, we have another one of the biggest games in the football calendar, as we have the Championship playoff final as Brentford take on Swansea. Brentford, this is their second year in the playoff final, having lost to Fulham last year. They got past Bournemouth in a 3-2 win over both legs to get to the final. This is a team with serious firepower here. Ivan Toney breaking the Championship goal scoring record, netting 31 times this season, as well as stumbling up with 10 assists. They've been massively impressive. I mean, they're a team that continually get picked apart, and 50 million plus worth of talent left them in the summer in Watkins and Benrahma, and they've still managed to match their achievement of last season as a minimum. And honestly, in this, I do think they're going to go one better and get promoted this time around. Swansea, they got past Barnsley in the semi-finals. They're not as impressive on paper. They're very reliant on loan players, like Conor Harahan and Freddie Woodman being key players for them over the course of the season. And their main threat is an aging Andre Ayew, who is their top scorer this season. They're a low-scoring team with a super tight backline, only shipping 39 goals this season in the league, not including the semi-final. But I think Brentford have enough to get past them here. I saw the first leg of the Brentford game, and I saw both legs of the Swansea game, and they weren't as impressive as I thought they would be. So yeah, I'm going to take Brentford here, and like with the game before, I'm leaning a 2-1 here, and I think we'll see Brentford up in the Premier League next season.
In the playoffs, we have Brentford versus Swansea coming up this weekend. Brentford has been very, very entertaining from looking at their last playoff match against Bournemouth. They have a very, very good striking force, but they have a bit of a poor defence as well. Swansea, kind of the opposite. Very, very poor attacking, but very, very strong in their defence line. Unfortunately for this is a final, so obviously goals need to be scored. So I might go for Brentford this time. I still think they'll still concede, so I'll go for a 2-1 win for them. It's going to be a very interesting game to see. But of course we'll have to see how it goes.
We are hopping across the Atlantic as we return to Major League Soccer, which we haven't covered in a couple of weeks. Their season is in full swing at this point, and we have opted for the Orlando versus New York Red Bulls game. Orlando, one of only 2 unbeaten teams this year, along with Seattle. They sit second in the Eastern Conference, and this is going to be a really, really challenging spot this season for them. They're without Nani, who was suspended for shoving a referee. Looked a little bit soft. He got a 2-game ban. Could have been worse. I thought it was a bit strict, there wasn't an awful lot in it, but hey, you put your hands on an official, you're going to get something. And of course as well, they are without Alexander Pato, who has missed their last 5 games with a knee injury. It'd be very, very interesting now to see the dynamic if Daryl Dike returns from his loan spell at Barnsley now his season's finished, because he would be a massive addition to an already strong team. But I see him moving this summer. Whether he will actually play again for Orlando in the meantime, who knows. It'd be great if he went over and contributed for the next little while, but hey, he'll want that move. And to be honest, after his performances for Barnsley, he really, really deserves it. Could end up in the Premier League, more than likely a championship team, maybe a relegated, so like Fulham or someone like that will pick him up. He would be a massive contributor to whoever he goes to. But yeah, back to Orlando. They're going to be relying on a couple of their, I don't want to say second string guys, but a couple of guys who aren't stars. Akindele and Chris Mueller are going to be hugely important when they're without Nani, Pato, and of course DK. See if they can get them to the next couple of games here. Red Bulls, on the other hand, they have underperformed so far this season, sitting 10th in the East. But on the bright side, they have one of the massive breakout stars of this season in the 17-year-old Cayden Clark. 3 goals in 6 games already at 17. The guy looks hugely impressive. Very much possibly the next Brendan Aronson. Has that big breakout season in MLS, gets his move across to Europe. Personally, I'd like to see him stick around in MLS a little longer, mature, develop his game, get minutes. But the guy has lit up the season so far, and it'll be great to see what he can do come the end of the season. They're led up top by Brazilian Fabio, who is goalless this season but has come away with 4 assists, so very much the creator, not the scorer. And a massive blow to them in losing Aaron Long, who is likely to miss the remainder of the season with an Achilles injury. Looking at the two sides, the form of both, I'm leaning Orlando here. I think they're going to come away with a 3-1 win, and the unbeaten run will roll on.
In the MLS, we have Orlando versus the New York Red Bulls coming over this weekend. 2 teams suffering a lot with their injuries and their suspensions, so this is a time for their subs to come on and shine. If we look at how the season going, Orlando hasn't been beaten yet alongside Seattle, so they're doing very good progress even with their suspensions and injuries. So I think that actually they'll come with the win. Probably I would say a 1-0 win, but we'll see how the subs do in this game, and we'll see from then.
Okay, so with us missing last week's show, I really thought I was going to get away with this, but Kev is making me cover GAA, the football, I think. You'll have to listen to his part to figure out if it is or not. I'm not overly informed. But yeah, he's making me cover the Tyrone Vs Monaghan GAA game. I know nothing about Gaelic football, and I'm pretty much going to leave it at that. Yeah. Basically, if you're looking for any insight here, just skip over my rambling here and just cut straight to Kev. Not great for retention, right? But hey, I'm not going to make you sit through it. I'm going to go Tyrone 1-9 to 8 points as a complete guess out of thin air because Kev forgot to send me notes. So, yeah. Over to Kev.
In the Alliance Football League, we have Tyrone versus Monaghan this Saturday. 2 teams had one win and one loss so far in the league. Monaghan were very, very unlucky against Donegal in their last fixture. Despite 3 goals by Conor McCarthy and winning by 9 points, they still managed a draw at the end. The Monaghan, their 2 main players, Conor McManus, who was suffering a little injury, and of course Conor McCarthy would be their main top goal scorers. For Tyrone, we have Peter Hart and Donnelly would be their main star men, doing very, very well with their new manager. I would still probably go for Tyrone, as they've a very decent scoring side and a very decent defence. There will probably be a red card, as these 2 teams don't get along very well and from the past, but I still think Tyrone will come out with a win with this.
Right, so wrapping up this week, we have a game that I'm really, really looking forward to here. It is the Bundesliga promotion relegation playoff between Koln and Holstein Kiel. Second leg after the surprise 1-0 win for Kiel midweek. Since the playoffs have started in the Bundesliga, only 3 Bundesliga 2 sides have earned themselves promotion to the top flight. On 9 occasions, the team from the Bundesliga managed to survive relegation and come out on top. So far, that does not look the case, having watched the first leg, which was a fantastic game. Not super talented on display, but maximum effort. And Holstein Kiel were one of the scrappiest teams I have seen play in a long time. Very much down my street of chucking themselves in front of everything. All action defending and very, very entertaining. They weren't always clean and crisp, but they always got the job done, and they ran away with the 1-0 win away from home. Koln finished 16th in the Bundesliga, beating Schalke on the final day with an 86th minute winner to seal their spot in the playoffs and avoid automatic relegation, and give themselves a chance at staying up. Their main player, Andre Duda, was very, very quiet in the first leg. He's their top scorer and assister, and it really did show that he's an attacking midfielder winger, and they just had nothing going forwards. They were the way better team technically in the first leg, but just could not put the ball in the net, and they didn't really seem to have a way of playing and an idea of how exactly they wanted to score, because they didn't have a focal point. They were last relegated in 2018 and came straight back up as champions. And again, this sort of hasn't gone their way, and they find themselves once again in the relegation playoff spot. Kiel finished 3rd in the Bundesliga, losing their last 2 games and missed out on a chance to get automatic promotion by 2 points. They don't score a ton of goals, but have a super solid backline, conceding the fewest goals in the 2nd division. Sharing the goals around, the likes of Serra, Bartels and Merling all have double figures. And they were in the 3rd division back in 2016 and managed to sort of grind their way up the leagues, playing like very, very structured football. And honestly, I think they're going to get promoted here. It's a great, great story, because they've only ever been champions of Germany in 1912, and since the Bundesliga was reformed, they have never been in it. They missed out on the promotion playoffs against Wolfsburg in 2018, losing 4-1 on aggregate. But after that away win, they put themselves in a great position to get promoted here, and I think this is probably going to be a score draw. I'm going to go 1-1, with that away goal being hugely important, and them able to, not totally keep Koln out, because they did create some half chances and were under pressure for a lot of the game. But I think their sort of scrappy all-action style of play and their sort of cynical defensive stylings are probably going to be enough to see them run out 2-1 on aggregate. So yeah, I'm going to say a 1-1 draw here, and we see Holstein Kiel in the Bundesliga for the first time.
In the Bundesliga playoff, we have Koln versus Kale. Their second leg will be on the Saturday. Koln has been on form since their new management come in the last 2 games. They got to avoid indefinite relegation, so they have one more chance to actually keep them up. They have been it was been very interesting last game. Sebastian come in with the 86th minute in their last game to keep them up for a little bit, and they've been in form, and I think they might pull away a win here against Kale, who hasn't been in form the last couple of games. In fact, lost 2 to avoid them to actually get into an automatic play promotion into the Bundesliga. I'm going to say it's going to be a 2-0 win, but again, it's going to be a very entertaining game.
Okay, so that wraps up episode 6 of Ready for the Weekend. Kev, as things stand, has a 2-point lead, and with him forcing me to talk about GAA, I think he's probably going to stay in the lead this week. Drop your predictions in the comments below, see how you get on compared to us, because, well, especially me, I've been fairly dreadful so far, so you can't do much worse. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff that, YouTubers tell people to do. Why not? And hopefully we will have 5 more important fixtures next week that hopefully I'll know more about, and hopefully I can get some better predictions for. Until then, see you next time.